Ladies and gentlemen, we often think of healing as something that happens to us, something delivered by a pill, a procedure, or a professional in a white coat. But the truth is far more empowering. Your body is hardwired to heal, repair, and regenerate itself every single day. You are equipped with powerful biological defense systems designed to keep you healthy, vibrant, and resilient. The question is not whether your body can heal. The question is, are you giving it what it needs to do its job? Every meal you eat is more than fuel. It is information. It speaks directly to your cells, your blood vessels, your metabolism, your microbiome, and your immune system. With the right foods, you can activate your body's own healing programs. With the wrong foods, you silence them. The body is naturally equipped with powerful defense systems that work around the clock to protect, repair, and regenerate. These systems are not passive. They are dynamic networks of cells, tissues, and molecular signals that respond instantly to changes in your environment. Whether you recognize it or not, thousands of protective actions are happening inside you every second, identifying threats, repairing microscopic injuries, replacing damaged cells, and maintaining internal balance. This is the foundation of lifelong health, and it begins with understanding how astonishingly capable your body truly is. One of the primary defense systems is the network of blood vessels that runs through every organ and tissue. These vessels deliver oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and immune cells where they are needed. The body is constantly building new blood vessels when a tissue needs more support, and pruning back vessels that are excessive or harmful. This balancing act, called angiogenesis, determines whether a wound heals properly, whether a heart remains strong, and whether organs receive the nourishment they require. When angiogenesis is in balance, tissues thrive. When it is out of balance, disease can take hold. The remarkable part is that your daily food choices can help support this balance. Nature has built compounds into foods like berries, leafy greens, tomatoes, tea, and herbs that can regulate blood vessel growth in healthy ways, reinforcing this system's protective role. Your immune system forms another deeply intelligent defense network. It is not simply an army marching into battle. It is a sophisticated surveillance system that constantly monitors for invaders, damaged cells, and internal disruption. Immune cells communicate with one another, adapt to new threats, and learn from past encounters. They remove harmful bacteria, destroy virus-infected cells, and clear out cancerous cells long before they ever become detectable. They also help orchestrate inflammation, but only as needed. Chronic inflammation, however, is what happens when the immune system becomes overactive or misguided. Here again, food has the power to dial inflammation up or down. Nutrients in foods like mushrooms, oily fish, garlic, citrus, and nuts help guide the immune system so it can do its job efficiently without drifting into harmful excess. Another defense system is the microbiome, the colony of trillions of microorganisms living primarily in your gut. Far from being passive passengers, these microbes produce compounds that affect nearly every aspect of your physiology. They help regulate immunity, metabolism, brain chemistry, and even the integrity of your bloodstream. They create anti-inflammatory molecules, help digest food, and support nutrient absorption. When they're well fed, especially with fiber-rich foods such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains, they flourish and, in return, strengthen your internal defenses. When they are neglected or overwhelmed by ultra-processed foods, artificial sweeteners, or low-fiber diets, the microbiome becomes imbalanced, weakening these protective benefits. Feeding your gut well is one of the most direct ways to influence your body's overall resilience. Your DNA itself is part of the defense landscape. Every day, your cells encounter oxidative stress, pollution, sunlight, and normal metabolic byproducts that can damage DNA. Fortunately, your cells are equipped with highly skilled repair enzymes that constantly scan for breaks or mutations and fix them. These repair mechanisms, however, require support. Antioxidant-rich foods such as colorful fruits and vegetables help neutralize the free radicals that can harm DNA. Certain nuts, spices, teas, and herbs also provide compounds that boost the body's natural DNA repair activities. When DNA is protected, the foundation of every cell remains strong. Finally, regeneration is one of the most surprising and inspiring defense systems. Your body retains stem cells, its internal repair crew, throughout life. These cells have the ability to replace damaged tissue, restore organ function, and help maintain vitality. They repair microscopic injuries in your muscles, skin, blood vessels, and organs every day. Some foods can actually help activate and support these stem cells, enhancing your natural regenerative capacity. This means that healing is not a rare or dramatic event. It is a daily process that can be strengthened through the choices you make. When you look at these systems together, angiogenesis, immunity, the microbiome, DNA protection, and regeneration, a picture emerges of a body that is not fragile, but adaptable and self-repairing. These systems interact, communicate, and reinforce one another. When one falters, another compensates. When several are nourished, healing accelerates. This is why diet matters so deeply. The right foods don't cure diseases by themselves. They empower the systems that prevent disease in the first place. Your body is always trying to protect you. The more you understand and support these defenses, the stronger they become. Food is often described as fuel, but that definition barely scratches the surface of what really happens when you eat. Every bite of food you consume contains molecules that interact directly with your biology. These molecules send signals to your cells, influence your organs, engage your healing systems, and ultimately guide how your body functions. In this sense, food is not merely something you burn for energy, it is a form of information. It carries instructions that shape your physiology from the moment it touches your tongue to long after it is digested. Understanding this changes the way we view eating. Instead of thinking in terms of calories alone, we begin to recognize food as a powerful tool that can either activate or silence the body's natural healing mechanisms. When food enters your body, it interacts with receptors on your gut lining and triggers hormonal responses. These hormones then communicate with your brain, your immune system, your endocrine system, and even your blood vessels. Some foods signal your body to store fat, others tell your metabolism to burn it. Some foods prompt inflammation, others calm it. Some foods stimulate the growth of beneficial bacteria in your gut, others feed harmful microbes. Each meal sets off a biological chain reaction. It is not random. Your body responds very specifically based on the molecular instructions encoded in what you eat. Consider the way certain foods influence inflammation. Chronic inflammation is one of the main drivers of diseases ranging from diabetes to heart disease, but inflammation is also a controlled response that your body uses to fight infections and repair injuries. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, for example, contain molecules the body uses to produce resolvent special compounds that help end the inflammatory process once healing is underway. Conversely, processed foods high in refined sugars or artificial additives can trigger pathways that prolong inflammation even when the body doesn't need it. The key is that food either turns these pathways on or off. This is what it means for food to behave like biological information. The same principle applies to how food affects blood vessel health. Certain compounds found in foods like green tea, grapes, and cruciferous vegetables can regulate angiogenesis, the system your body uses to grow and maintain blood vessels. These foods contain natural inhibitors that help prevent excessive blood vessel growth in tissues where it does not belong, while other compounds can stimulate vessel growth where healing or oxygen delivery is needed. The body listens to these molecular cues and adjusts accordingly. Food also plays a crucial informational role in metabolic health. Your metabolism is governed not just by how much you eat, but by how the nutrients you consume tell your cells to handle energy. Fiber, for example, slows glucose absorption and prevents spikes in blood sugar. Polyphenols found in foods like berries, cinnamon, and cocoa can improve insulin sensitivity, helping your cells respond better to the hormone that manages blood sugar. On the other hand, rapidly absorbed refined carbohydrates can overwhelm metabolic pathways, increasing fat storage and disrupting insulin signaling. All of this happens because your cells interpret molecular messages delivered through your meals. Your gut microbiome further illustrates the concept of food as information. The trillions of bacteria in your intestines rely on what you feed them to determine which species thrive and which diminish. When you eat fiber from fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, beneficial bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acid signals that reduce inflammation, strengthen the gut barrier, and even influence brain health. When you eat highly processed foods, however, you feed bacteria that produce harmful metabolites, which can increase inflammation and weaken your defenses. In other words, you are constantly programming your microbiome with your diet, and your microbiome responds by influencing your entire physiology, even your DNA. Responds to the information in food. Certain foods activate genes involved in repair, while others can stimulate genes associated with stress or inflammation. This field, nutrigenomics, has shown us that foods can upregulate or downregulate gene expression in ways that influence longevity, disease risk, and resilience. For example, sulforaphane, a compound in broccoli sprouts, activate pathways that boost antioxidant defenses and detoxification enzymes. These molecular interactions happen quietly but powerfully, shaping your internal environment with every meal. The key understanding is that food is constantly communicating with your body. You are sending instructions 3 or more times a day, every day of your life. When you choose foods rich in natural bioactive compounds, foods that humans have eaten for centuries, you support your body's innate ability to repair, defend, and thrive. When you choose foods stripped of nutrients and loaded with artificial ingredients, you send confusing or harmful messages that disrupt these natural systems. Once you realize that food is information, eating becomes more intentional. You start to choose foods that tell your body to heal rather than harm. And gradually, those choices accumulate into resilience, vitality, and long-term health. Health is often viewed as something you maintain only when something goes wrong, when you feel pain, receive a diagnosis, or experience a warning sign. But true health is not about waiting for illness to appear. It is about supporting the processes that keep your body strong long before any symptoms emerge. Healing is not confined to hospitals or clinics. It is happening inside you every minute. Your body is constantly repairing microscopic damage, replacing worn-out cells, neutralizing threats, and restoring balance. The idea that healing is proactive means that your actions, especially the foods you choose, can strengthen these ongoing processes and help your body stay ahead of disease rather than chase after it. Every day, your organs and tissues experience tiny injuries that you never feel. Your blood vessels encounter oxidative stress. Your cells sustain minor DNA breaks. Your immune system confronts microbes and environmental irritants. If your body did not repair these small disruptions swiftly and efficiently, they would accumulate into bigger problems over time. Thankfully, you have built-in systems designed to prevent this from happening. These systems are always working. They do not wait for sickness to strike. They prevent sickness from taking hold in the first place. This is the essence of proactive healing, the daily, quiet work your body performs to stay whole. Food plays a crucial role in supporting this continuous healing cycle. The nutrients and bioactive compounds in everyday foods can amplify your body's ability to repair itself long before disease develops. When you choose foods that help stabilize blood sugar, reduce inflammation, protect DNA, and support blood vessel health, you reinforce the body's natural defenses. Conversely, when your diet is dominated by processed foods, excessive sugars, unhealthy fats, or artificial additives, you create an internal environment that burdens your healing systems. Instead of staying ahead of damage, your body must work overtime just to keep up. Proactive healing also relates to how your immune system functions. Most people think of immunity only during an infection, but your immune cells are working constantly. They patrol your tissues, remove damaged cells, and maintain order. A diet rich in immune-supportive foods like mushrooms, citrus fruits, herbs, whole grains, and omega-3 rich seafood helps your immune cells stay balanced, responsive, and efficient. This is prevention at the cellular level. Instead of only reacting when pathogens invade, your immune system becomes better equipped to diffuse minor threats before they escalate into illness. The microbiome further reinforces the idea of proactive healing. A healthy gut population produces compounds that soothe inflammation, regulate metabolism, and protect your intestinal barrier. These benefits happen every day, not just when you are sick. Your microbiome is a preventive shield, one that thrives on fiber-rich foods, fermented foods, and plant diversity. When you make these foods a regular part of your diet, you keep that shield strong. Without them, the microbiome weakens, and the body becomes more vulnerable to chronic conditions that take root quietly over years. Proactive healing also applies to metabolic health. Your metabolism is not just about weight, It encompasses energy production, hormone balance, cellular efficiency, and organ resilience. Foods that help stabilize blood sugar like beans, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and vegetables reduce metabolic stress. By preventing frequent spikes and crashes in glucose, you reduce wear and tear on your pancreas and blood vessels. You also lower the chances of developing insulin resistance, which often begins silently and progresses unnoticed until symptoms force attention. Protecting and repairing DNA is another vital aspect of proactive healing. DNA damage happens daily, but your cells are equipped with repair enzymes that fix these issues before they led to larger problems. Antioxidant-rich foods such as berries, leafy greens, herbs, spices, and certain teas give these repair systems the tools they need. This means your body can correct errors before they accumulate into chronic disease or accelerated aging. When food supplies the right molecular support, DNA repair happens more efficiently, strengthening your long-term health trajectory. Regenerative capacity, the body's ability to replace damaged cells with healthy ones, also benefits from proactive support. Certain foods have been shown to activate or enhance stem cell activity, enabling tissues to recover more effectively from microscopic damage. This is another example of healing that takes place quietly. Every day, you may not feel your tissues regenerating, but they are doing so constantly, and your diet has a direct influence on this process. When you step back and see the full picture, the message becomes clear. Healing is not something to reserve for emergencies. It is a continuous, proactive process that you can strengthen through deliberate choices. Food is one of the most accessible, powerful, and consistent tools for supporting these defenses. By nourishing your body regularly with foods that activate healing pathways, you reinforce your health long before illness even has a chance to develop. This approach shifts the focus from treating disease to cultivating resilience, allowing your body to operate at its best every day. Everyday foods have a remarkable ability to restore balance to the body's internal systems, even though this power is often overlooked in a world where health is commonly associated with medications, supplements, or clinical procedures. But long before modern medical treatments existed, the human body relied on natural compounds found in food to maintain stability, protect against threats, and repair damage. These foods contain bioactive molecules, polyphenols, antioxidants, healthy fats, fibers, minerals, and micronutrients that interact with the body's healing systems in ways that are both subtle and profound. When you choose foods that support your biology, you help bring your internal environment back into harmony, allowing your systems to function as they are designed to, smoothly, efficiently, and with resilience. One of the most important systems foods help balance is angiogenesis, the process of growing and pruning blood vessels. An imbalance in this system can lead to serious health issues. Too many blood vessels can feed diseases like cancer or contribute to inflammatory disorders, while too few can damage organs or slow healing. Certain foods naturally help bring the system back into equilibrium. For example, tomatoes contain lycopene, which helps inhibit abnormal blood vessel growth, while garlic and mushrooms encourage proper vessel function. Berries like strawberries and blueberries provide compounds that keep unwanted vessel growth in check. Meanwhile, foods like citrus and leafy greens help ensure that tissues receive proper oxygenation and nourishment. These foods act like gentle regulators, nudging the blood vessel network back into a state that supports healing rather than disease. Foods also restore balance to the immune system, which relies heavily on diet to function properly. An immune system that is overactive leads to chronic inflammation, allergies, or autoimmune flare-ups, while an underactive immune system leaves you vulnerable to infection. Many foods contain natural modulators that help the immune system strike the right balance. For instance, mushrooms contain beta-glucans that help optimize immune readiness without overstimulating it. Herbs and spices like turmeric, rosemary, ginger, and oregano contain anti-inflammatory compounds that dial down excessive immune responses while preserving the body's ability to fight infections. Foods rich in vitamin C such as citrus, kiwi, and bell pepper support immune cell function and keep inflammation under control. These foods do not force the immune system into a particular state. Rather, they guide it toward equilibrium, where it can respond appropriately to threats and then resolve inflammation once its job is done. The microbiome, the community of bacteria living in your gut, is another system that depends heavily on diet for balance. Your gut bacteria influence immunity, metabolism, digestion, and even mental health, but they can only thrive when properly fed. Fiber-rich foods such as vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, beans, and whole grains act as prebiotics, nourishing beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids. These compounds lower inflammation, strengthen the gut barrier, and improve metabolic health. Fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, and miso seed the gut with helpful microbes that further support balance. When your microbiome is well-fed and diverse, it functions like a sophisticated internal pharmacy, producing compounds that keep your body stable. When it is starved of fiber and overwhelmed with processed foods, it becomes imbalanced and promotes inflammation instead of healing. Everyday foods are the most powerful way to shift your gut back into harmony. Metabolic balance is another major area where food plays a corrective role. Your metabolism is deeply responsive to what you eat, and certain foods help stabilize blood sugar, improve insulin sensitivity, and reduce fat accumulation. Beans and whole grains release energy slowly, preventing glucose spikes. Vegetables provide fiber and antioxidants that support smooth metabolic function. Healthy fats from nuts, seeds, olive oil, and fatty fish enhance insulin response and reduce inflammation. When these foods become part of your everyday eating pattern, they help restore a steady metabolic rhythm, one that allows your body to burn energy efficiently rather than store it excessively. Even your body's regenerative processes benefit from foods that help restore balance. Certain foods activate pathways involved in cellular renewal and tissue repair. Green tea contains epigallocatechin galatate, EGCG, which helps quiet down damaged cells and support healthy regeneration. Dark leafy greens supply folate and other nutrients your cells need for DNA repair. Berries and grapes contain polyphenols that encourage stem cells to function optimally. These foods help tip the balance toward renewal rather than deterioration, supporting lifelong vitality. Finally, balance is reinforced when foods calm oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when harmful molecules overwhelm the body's antioxidant defenses. Over time, this stress damages cells and speeds up aging. A diet rich in colorful produce such as tomatoes, carrots, beets, spinach, berries, and peppers restores antioxidant balance and gives your cells the tools they need to fend off damage. These foods help reset the internal environment, reducing wear and tear at the cellular level. When you look at the collective impact of these everyday foods, a powerful truth emerges. Nature designed them to work with your biology, not against it. They do not force your systems into unnatural patterns. Instead, they gently guide your body back into balance, reinforcing its natural rhythms and healing abilities. Eating this way is not about restriction or complicated rules. It's about choosing foods that help your body do what it is inherently capable of doing, staying balanced, resilient, and well. A healthy gut microbiome is one of the most powerful and underestimated forces influencing whole body healing. Although you may not feel it working, your microbiome is constantly shaping you. Immunity, metabolism, mood, inflammation levels, and even how your genes behave. This community of trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and viruses live primarily in your digestive tract and works in partnership with your body. When you nourish it with the right foods, these microbes create compounds that support healing throughout your entire system. When it is deprived or imbalanced, the effects ripple outward, contributing to chronic disease, low energy, weakened immunity, and metabolic disruption. Understanding how profoundly your gut influences your health reveals why cultivating a strong microbiome is essential for whole body healing. Your microbiome is often called the forgotten organ because it performs so many essential functions. One of its most important roles is producing short-chain fatty acids, particularly butyric acetate and propionate. These compounds are made when your gut bacteria ferment fiber from fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Short-chain fatty acids have remarkable healing powers. They calm inflammation, strengthen the intestinal lining, support the immune system, and help regulate blood sugar. Butyrate in particular fuels the cells that line your colon, helping maintain a healthy gut barrier. A strong barrier prevents harmful substances from leaking into the bloodstream and triggering inflammation. Without enough fiber-rich foods, your microbiome cannot produce these healing compounds, leaving your gut more vulnerable and your immune system more reactive. The microbiome also plays a central role in shaping the immune system. Nearly 70% of the immune system resides in or near the gut. This close proximity allows gut microbes to communicate directly with immune cells, training them to distinguish between friend and foe. When your microbiome is diverse and well-fed, it teaches the immune system to respond appropriately strong when needed, calm when the threat is over. When the microbiome is disrupted, however, immune signals become confused. This can lead to unnecessary inflammation, autoimmune reactions, or a weakened ability to fight real infections. Foods rich in prebiotic fibers such as onions, garlic, asparagus, leeks, whole grains, apple, bananas, and legumes feed beneficial bacteria and support this immune training process. Fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, and kefir add helpful microbes that diversify and strengthen the gut ecosystem. Nourishing your microbiome is one of the most direct ways to support balanced immunity. Your gut also influences metabolic health in profound ways. Certain microbes help regulate how efficiently your body extracts energy from food, how well you respond to insulin, and how readily you store or burn fat. A microbiome thriving on fiber and plant-based nutrients tends to support stable blood sugar levels and a healthy weight. In contrast, a microbiome dominated by bacteria that feed on sugar, processed foods, and artificial additives can produce compounds that disrupt metabolism, increase fat storage, and interfere with hunger and satiety signals. By choosing foods that support a balanced microbiome, whole grains, vegetables, berries, legumes, nuts, seeds, and fermented foods, you help tune your metabolism toward efficiency and stability rather than stress and imbalance. The microbiome's influence reaches even further, extending to inflammation throughout the body. A well-nourished microbiome produces anti-inflammatory compounds that help regulate immune responses and soothe systemic inflammation. But an imbalanced microbiome, often caused by a diet high in processed foods and low in fiber, can produce metabolites that inflame the gut lining and trigger a cascade of inflammation in distant organs. Chronic inflammation is a silent driver of many diseases, including diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, neurodegeneration, and even some cancers. Supporting your microbiome with healing foods is one of the most effective ways to calm inflammation at its source. Even your brain is affected by the state of your microbiome through what is known as the gut-brain axis. Gut microbes produce neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine along with other compounds that influence mood, anxiety levels, stress resilience, and cognitive function. A diverse, well-fed microbiome supports clearer thinking and emotional balance. When the microbiome becomes disrupted, it can contribute to fatigue, mood instability, and brain fog. Once again, food plays a decisive role. Colorful fruits and vegetables, omega-3 rich foods, fermented foods, and fiber all help cultivate a microbiome that supports not only physical healing but mental well-being. What becomes clear is that feeding your gut is one of the most direct ways to support healing throughout your entire body. Your microbiome is constantly responding to the foods you eat. A single meal can shift microbial activity, and consistent pattern of eating can reshape the composition of your gut community over weeks and months. This is empowering because it means you have enormous influence over your internal environment. By choosing foods that nourish your microbiome, foods rich in fiber, polyphenols, healthy fats, and natural fermentation, you strengthen a system that impacts virtually every aspect of your health. The gut is not isolated. It is a command center for healing. Nourish it well, and your whole body benefits. Your body's ability to regenerate and repair itself is one of the most extraordinary features of human biology, yet it is often overlooked or underestimated. From the moment you are born until the final years of life, your body relies on a system of renewal that keeps your tissues functioning, your organs resilient, and your cells capable of handling daily wear and tear. This regenerative capacity is powered by stem cells, your body's quiet but constant repair crew. These cells spring into action whenever damage occurs. They replace old cells, restore injured tissue, and maintain the integrity of your organs. What many people do not realize is that the foods you eat play a crucial role in supporting, activating, and preserving this regenerative ability throughout your lifetime. Every organ in your body contains its own population of stem cells. These cells remain in a resting state until they are needed. When triggered, they divide, differentiate, and become the specialized cells required for healing. For example, your gut lining regenerates every few days, fueled by a steady supply of stem cells. Your skin renews itself constantly, repairing microscopic damage from sunlight and environmental stress. Even your brain and heart, once thought incapable of renewal, contain stem cells that contribute to repair and resilience. This is happening quietly every day, regardless of whether you notice it. What changes the effectiveness of this process is the biological environment you create through your diet and lifestyle. Certain foods have been shown to activate pathways that enhance stem cell function. These foods provide bioactive compounds that support cellular health, reduce oxidative stress, and create conditions in which stem cells can thrive. For instance, berries contain polyphenols that influence cell signaling and encourage stem cells to engage in tissue repair. Green tea provides catechins that help protect stem cells from oxidative damage and improve their performance. Leafy greens supply folate and other nutrients needed for DNA synthesis and cell division. Foods like walnuts, pomegranates, and certain types of mushrooms contain compounds that promote cellular longevity and help maintain the regenerative machinery within tissues. Regeneration is also closely connected to inflammation. When inflammation is controlled and temporary, such as after a minor injury, it helps signal stem cells to begin the healing process. But when inflammation becomes chronic, it exhausts stem cells and interferes with their ability to repair tissues. This is why anti-inflammatory foods are crucial for regeneration. Foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids, such as salmon, sardines, flax seeds, and chia seeds, help reduce inflammatory signals and protect stem cells from an overactive immune environment. Similarly, herbs and spices like turmeric, ginger, and rosemary provide natural compounds that calm inflammation and create a healthier internal environment for regeneration to occur. Blood vessel health is another key component of regeneration. For stem cells to travel where they are needed and for tissues to properly heal, they must receive adequate blood flow. Foods that support angiogenesis, balanced blood vessel growth, help ensure that newly forming tissues have access to oxygen and nutrients. Tomatoes, tea, citrus fruits, soy, and many types of plant-based foods contain compounds that keep this vascular system functioning smoothly. When your circulation is healthy, your tissues are better equipped to regenerate effectively. Your microbiome also influences regenerative capacity. Beneficial gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids that help regulate inflammation, support immune balance, and create a favorable environment for stem cell activity. When you feed your microbiome with fiber-rich foods, vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, and whole grains, you indirectly support your body's repair processes. A thriving microbiome helps maintain gut integrity, which in turn supports nutrient absorption and reduces stress on the immune system. This interconnected relationship demonstrates how regeneration is not an isolated process, but part of a larger symphony of healing systems. Even your metabolic health affects regeneration. High blood sugar, insulin resistance, and metabolic stress can impair stem cell function and accelerate tissue breakdown. Foods that stabilize blood sugar, such as beans, whole grains, leafy greens, and foods rich in healthy fats, help maintain an internal environment that supports renewal rather than deterioration. When your metabolic system is balanced, your stem cells can operate more efficiently, promoting sustained energy and vitality. All of this leads to an empowering realization. Regeneration is not reserved for the young or the fortunate. It is a biological capacity you carry throughout your life, and your choices influence how well it works. By selecting foods that nourish stem cells, reduce inflammation, support blood vessel health, feed the microbiome, and stabilize metabolism, you strengthen your body's ability to heal from the inside out. Your body is constantly trying to repair itself. Foods that activate regeneration give your cells the resources they need to do this work effectively. Over time, these choices accumulate into resilience, vitality, and a kind of cellular youthfulness that supports long-term health. You are not simply a passive observer to the aging process. Through the foods you choose, you can participate actively in your body's renewal, supporting its remarkable ability to regenerate and thrive.